Yeah, because workplace situations can be a little tricky too, because, if she has a quote unquote work husband and she's sharing all kind of information with him, I can see why old boy might be in his feels about that.
And it can lead to something else. It can lead to something more.
Correct.
Hey.
Hello, welcome
back to Love, Life, and Luggage.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Eulica.
And let me just tell you about today's show is inspired by the letter that we got from the young lady last week.
So remind us what was her deal.
Yes, and we're not naming any names, so we're protecting the innocent here. So in case you missed it last week, this was the dilemma of the day. She has been dating her man for 6 months now. This friend has always been around. She met her several times and at family events, but she did some digging. She did some investigative work, like some of you women do. Went back, she says, 5 years in his Facebook history and discovered that the two of them have actually been lovers, and came across some Valentine's Day pictures.
But he's been presenting this family friend as just a friend.
Just as a friend.
And just conveniently failed to mention
that they were, an item. Now, personally, we had a little disagreement about it. She seemed to think that he lied.
Yeah. You can lie by omission.
I tend to think that you're right. He omitted some information. Doesn't necessarily mean
he was deceitful by omission.
This 5 years ago, though. Okay, so we obviously we disagree, but we wanted you guys to weigh in on this.
So that leads us to our topic of this week.
Yes.
And this is, are you really single?
Yes.
So what do we mean by that?
So are you really single? So, for instance, if you still have some kind of emotional attachment to somebody, are you really single?
So we're asking, in this case, is the girl acting like she's single at work with this person?
Yeah. So we have another dilemma with somebody sent us an email, and I'll read it at the end of the
Absolutely
podcast, but it kind of flows into this episode as well.
So we're going to get into it. So we're going to talk about 5 signs that you might not be as single as you think you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's get started. Let's crack it open.
So, oh my God. So go ahead with number 1.
All right. So number 1, you're still emotionally attached to this ex. I was just talking about this. Still emotionally attached to this ex. You might not talk every day, but you might compare him to your current boyfriend or girlfriend. All right.
Or you could be upset when that ex gets involved in other situations, or some kind of emotional attachment. Like when you get good news, the first person you want to think to tell is the ex.
Because you guys have history.
Yes.
Now, you guys may not be physically involved
currently,
but she may still hold a lot of space in your life. Maybe support you. Maybe under the guise of being this is my very good friend.
Ooh. You may have gifts from the person.
Might have gifts that's endearing to that person. You still hold on to. You may still have fond memories.
What if the man bought my furniture? I'm supposed to get rid of my furniture.
Get rid of that damn thing. No, I don't know. If we go that far. But I ain't sitting on no couch no man. Definitely ain't making no milk and cookies on no sofa in the man porch. I'm just saying.
Y'all know what the milk and cookies are.
Right.
But I think that sometimes the reason why we even having this subject, are you really single? People, we're trying to help people in dating. And sometimes the relationship doesn't get off the ground because you have these situationships or things you haven't cleared up. We talked about a little bit in the last one, but you may still have an emotional attachment to the ex.
You're still stuck.
Yeah, and you might not think, oh, I hate him. But even somebody who can garner that much emotion may be a problem.
Hate is an emotion too, and there was a movie out and a song that said there's a thin line between love and hate.
Very thin, very thin. If you have the true goal you want to get to is indifference, they do not faze you, they do not bother you.
How they move doesn't affect your way you move anymore.
Exactly.
You can move on freely without them, and there's no hindrance to your next relationship.
Ooh, so number 2, you maintain almost relationships. Stop lying to yourselves. Stop being funny. We are folks over 50. Last time I checked, this show is called Love, Life, and Luggage Over 50, After 50.
Right.
So you know when a person likes you, you know when a person's attracted to you, you know when there's flirting going on.
And you know, and listen, fellas, you know that even though the relationship is in the past, is gone, but if you feel like you know that, you know, you can still go back and smash.
Can I sing a song?
Yeah.
You say he's just a friend. You say he's just
oh baby. But anyway, listen, fellas know this, you know, especially sometimes with exes, and sometimes with the baby mama, you know, sometimes, you know, we know that if we wanted to, we can circle the block. And then that access is still there. True.
And if you cannot function in a new relationship without upsetting that situation, it might be a clue that it's an almost relationship.
Right.
So
let's dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if this friend, or it could be your baby mom, I hate to say baby mothers, could be the mother of your child. You know, if you're trying to nurture a relationship or get into a relationship and she's putting up roadblocks.
And has the ability to.
Yes, but like, I don't want my kid around this child. I mean, around this new girl. You're kind of still stuck there. You haven't resolved that issue yet.
And then our video, we have another video that says, "Are you ready to date?" And one was about your other relationships. Right. Have you settled and made some kind of boundaries, peace in your other relationships? You can't blow up your relationship and then just go, especially if you have some connection, children or whatever, and just think, oh, I'm just going to start something new. No, you've left this person kind of disrupted,
unsettled. You didn't close the deal.
And sometimes you might hit, even in this volatility, you still have intimacy sometimes. I'm just saying.
Circling the block. Listen, you're still in a relationship if you're circling the block. If you have the ability to circle the block, you're still in a relationship.
So I have a question under this one. So 1, are you single? You think you're single? 2, second part of it, does another person think they're in a relationship with you? Does another person think that you're their man and you're their woman?
Ooh,
like if you were to ask them, are they going around talking like they are with you? Like that's my man. And you can play around with am I single, but you can't argue with what another person thinks.
I mean, the heart wants what it wants in situations like this. And if a woman think that y'all are together, or
man,
and you know, however loose that tie is, it can be a weekend rendezvous, whatever it looks like. If she still thinks she got, you know, she feels like she got her hooks in you, she's in a relationship with you, whether you think you are or not. She's in a relationship with you.
And that goes right into the next one. Your ex still has daily access to you.
Yes.
So that means they have keys to your house. They have access to your job. You might work with, I don't know, but they have, and this might be tricky, even if it's like you share a child together.
If you're co-parenting, this is a tricky situation.
I just think there's a difference though between me passing the child off to you than you like knowing how much my phone bill is this month. You know, okay, my car engine is whatever. Like I think it can lead. It's just blurred.
The lines are very blurred, especially when it comes to co-parenting, because you know your child still have needs.
Yes.
You still want to be there to support your child. You know, events come up, birthdays, Christmases. I mean, there was an episode, I forget, was it Harlem?
Yes.
It was an episode on Harlem where, you know, the guy was expecting a child and went to the ex's house to put a crib together.
And we had a slight argument during this because he's like, so Tim was saying, well, you know, he's the father of the child. I said, but it's a difference between supporting a child and supporting her. Putting the crib, the baby doesn't know who put the crib together.
This is true.
That was about them building a bond together. And you saw it got dicey.
I think old boy went into it with best intentions. I think he just wanted to just be a good father and do the right thing. But I think the mother was kind of living in the past in that situation and kind of, he was putting things together.
But I don't think it's her fault. You just have to know you have to have boundaries, that some activities create connection. We're putting our crib together. That's it's a memory. That's a bond. We won't even get into the show Harlem because it became a little heated.
Became a little heated for us. So then that guy's still in it, even though he's gone on with his life, got another whole girlfriend. He's still in a relationship.
They ended up breaking up. It ended up breaking up the relationship. So anyway, remember to like and subscribe. We have a lot of viewers. It seems that our viewers, the hours watch are going up, but the people who subscribe are not. So please like, subscribe, help us,
please.
So let's go on to the next one. So you have a work spouse, an inappropriate emotional bonds.
So, and what we're talking about with this is, we talked about the work relationship. I mean, there's some people who are in, they have good friends at work. They eat lunch with them, the opposite sex. This person knows more about them. But let me just back up. When you're in a workspace, it is a true fact that you probably spend more time with people that work than you do your own family. That means your husband, your wife, your kids.
True.
So you're creating relationships at work.
I think I saw something recently that said like policemen, nurses, doctors, because they see traumatic things together. Yeah. They build bonds.
Right.
And so I think you just have to build in a little bit more emotional distance from the person, so that like starting to tell your personal business to the person might be a problem. So at what point does that become like too
I think
much?
It's problematic when, we have a scenario that you can stay tuned to the end, because we have a letter. I'm gonna touch on it a little bit, but there's a guy who feels like, he's losing his girlfriend because all she does is talk about this guy at work. And he found out they do have lunch together almost every day. And she haven't really set boundaries. And my thought on that, well, I'll reserve my thought until.
But again, the theme is that, so you're trying to form a new relationship, a new bond with a new person, and these things are sometimes blowing up because you're not really single.
You're not single. I mean, if you got these things going on, people are, still attached to you. You're still attached to them. How can you really foster a good relationship outside of that? How do you grow that?
And the inappropriate bonds could also be your friendships, like your friends at the bar take precedent. Like your Thursday night is not going to be moved for whatever. Because these are my friends. It could be other relationships, not just romantic. They take the place or don't leave any room for a new relationship.
I mean, it's a touchy situation. I mean, sometimes these girlfriends be like, "Girl, let's go out. Forget him. Let's put the effing dress on. Let's go and do our thing."
What y'all doing? Number 5, you're not willing to make room for someone new, which is kind of leads from what we're saying. So what is your goal in seeking a relationship? Is somebody going to join the rest of your life?
And is it going to be messy like that? And who's going to stay around for that?
No, not a good person, not a healthy person.
No, not a healthy
If somebody rolls with you on that, that's probably they like the drama. They like the tussle at the cookout.
Listen, if you still got unresolved issues with your baby mom, and I hate to say that term, with your kid's mom or kid's dad, okay, and it's unresolved, now you bring in a whole fresh relationship. All right, now you're putting that woman, that man in a stressful situation, because what are they going to do if old boy, all of a sudden he want to, poke his chest out because you at, her house. Now he want to, square up with you, want to squabble.
So let's talk a little bit about what a relationship entails, like our relationship. There's physical connection, but there's also emotional connection. There's also
I will argue a spiritual connection as well.
spiritual. When something new happens to me, like I text you this week, like I need to tell you what happened. Like I think that you're the person for that. And if I was giving that, if it was leaking off to somebody else, you would probably could tell.
And I think that's kind of the situation with this work spouse situation.
Okay.
So I think this guy feels like that she's sharing a lot of intimate stuff with him, even though she say they're not physical.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
But the thing here is, we're gonna get into the unpacking dilemma of the week.
Yes.
But the whole theme of this, why he gets that out, is that are you really single or are you just unpartnered? And I think it's a way you move when you want to be in a relationship.
Say that one more time.
Are you really single or are you just unpartnered?
Partner. Well, that's a word.
That means you want to move like a single person, but you want to be in a relationship. And if you check back through the history, it's probably some of the arguments that you've had in the past about, not making time, or you didn't invite me to this, or I didn't know about this, that kind of thing.
Right.
So so let's get into the unpack.
All right, so we're gonna unpack I got the suitcase here. We always have the suitcase. All right. So this is from a male viewer. They sent us an email, and this is basically what it says. He thinks that something has changed with his girlfriend of 3 years. She talks about this guy at work all the time. He discovered that they had lunch together quite often, but she acts like it's no big deal. All right. And so he says, but I'm starting to feel like she has something going on with this guy. Am I wrong for having these feelings?
No, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah. And I can't say 100% whether, it's gone over that line where, there's some infidelity going on. I can't say that. But I can.
You mean physical infidelity? Infidelity starts before the cookie making.
That's a good point. That's a good point, because it's emotional cheating is
cheating.
It's cheating as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So, my man, I can't tell you. Well, first let me say you're right to have these feelings, and if you're in a relationship with a person that's not valuing you or making you feel safe, whether you're a man or a woman, you're not making your significant other feel safe in a relationship. Then I would argue that you probably really don't necessarily care what that person, how that person feels. I think it's a sign of disrespect.
I think it is, and I think that it has to be a environment for communication.
Yeah.
If something is shifting, or I don't feel like I can talk to you about things, we need to have a discussion. So he's kind of let it fester and not really addressed it.
So how do we advise this guy? Do we just throw the whole relationship in the can?
He needs to have a conversation. Well,
clearly, according to the letter, she says she acts like it's no big deal.
Well, it's a big deal. But what is your response to it? He's like, oh, okay. Or do you say, no, we need to talk about it? It's a problem for me.
At the very least, a conversation need to be had. And, if she's not respecting your point of view on this, then my guy, maybe you just need to move on. I love black love. And I hate to see anybody, break up. But if she's not respecting you on that level.
And it's information. And going forward in a relationship, getting married will not fix that. That's something that has to be addressed and resolved now. Like, that's part of the learning process of getting to know each other.
Exactly.
And if you can't overcome that, or you don't understand, or that person doesn't understand what an inappropriate relationship is, or even with the ex, a shared co-parenting, if we can't figure out a way to do this in peace, then we might not need to do this.
And she sounds like she's gaslighting the guy.
And she is, because she wants what she wants.
Yeah.
So did we all answer the other ladies with the?
Oh yes. So the dilemma, yes.
That was last week.
Yeah, that was last week. So yeah, let me read the letter again. She has been dating the guy for 6 months. This friend has always been around under the guise of family friend. Have always been around. She's met her several times at family events.
But always at the family friend. It wasn't saying that they had made cookies before on a regular. They were committed cookies.
So she did some digging, going back. Why did women go all the way back 5 years?
Because we're researchers.
5 years?
Because the evidence might not be 6 months ago.
Okay, so she did some digging and found out the guy was lovers with the so-called friend.
That's something that
family
needs to be
friend.
mentioned.
And then she's seen some past Valentine's Day pics from 5 years ago. So I have a slightly different take on this. You seem to think old boy was cheating, or at the very least lied.
That he was not transparent. There's a difference between honesty and transparency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I need to know if you used to be a woman. Like, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know that you might have a prison, whatever, a record, in case we travel together. Like, some things you're just holding back. You're just not being transparent.
So I have a different take on it. My take on it is 5 years is a lifetime ago. Yeah.
But this person is in your space every day now.
Okay, but they're not together anymore now. I mean, it may not be. They clearly he's with her, and did he negate information? Yeah, but I mean,
what we will do.
So my thing is, if it didn't come up, if she didn't ask, you know.
So that means I have to ask the magical question. So on January 13th, 1982, did you get your wisdom tooth report? Like, why would I have to? How would she know what to ask?
Who's going to bring up a relationship from 5 years ago?
No, it's okay, but the person is present every day. Please help me. And please write down what I'm saying. If she wasn't around, it would not matter. I don't need to know every person that you've been involved with, but if that person's being presented as a family friend,
and she might very well be a family friend.
Oh my God!
Even though they had a relationship, she might still be a family friend. But what they had was in the past.
I don't think we're going to resolve it here, but I would like you guys' input. We would like your input. Right. Please put your take in the description before. You're going to be on my side, but please.
Fellas, let me hear from the fellas. Let me see what you think on this.
It is at minimum problematic.
Well, let's take it to the 50-year-old crew.
We will look for your comments. Right. Thank you. That was another episode. There was almost fisticuffs again.
We're not trying to have that, but listen. On closing, we always want to say to you, love again,
embrace growth, and journey on.
Absolutely. Peace, y'all.